Hello and welcome to another Analysis Behind the News, where we provide the perspective that you can use to help save American liberty and independence. Last week, the Office of the U.S. Trade Representative released its highly anticipated annual report on trade. They had us on the edge of our seat just waiting for it to drop. Well, okay, maybe not. It really wasn't that anticipated and staff really only discovered it this morning. But nonetheless, the 373-page report outlines the 2019 trade policy agenda as well as the 2018 annual report. It's really rather boring and essentially states that the president's trade moves over the last 2 years have been working, and they point to the growing stats of jobs and economy. What it does do for those interested in preserving and restoring American liberty and independence is to show the globalist mindset of those negotiators that are to be protecting America first. But these are far from protectionists. The introduction itself is well worth your time to review, and these 3 pages tout the positive job and economic numbers, and then suggest, as I get to the right page, that these data indicate that the United States has made great strides in dealing with the challenges of globalization, challenges that have bedeviled most of the developed world in recent years. Over the last 2 years, the United States has shown that a developed country can experience broad economic growth that is shared by workers, including workers in the manufacturing sector. And they continue in the second paragraph here. Trade policy plays a vital role in this effort. Under the leadership of President Trump, American trade policy is generating benefits for American workers. While much remains to be done, the administration has already made significant progress toward implementing its trade agenda. Our goal is to ensure that hard work and innovation are rewarded, while unfair trade practices and illegal government subsidies are punished. As our policies continue to take effect, we are confident that American workers and businesses will benefit from the chance to compete in a fairer world. Well, folks, here we have to ask, do you remember what the president specifically did? He withdrew from the Trans-Pacific Partnership, helped to stump for rolling back onerous business regulations, and he slapped some pretty heavy tariffs in hopes of reversing the devastating bleeding of the American manufacturing industry. He decided on protecting America first, and that's how you deal with the challenges of globalization. You focus on the betterment of your country. Now, the introduction of the report moves on to state that the Trump administration inherited a significantly flawed trading system with problems that affected U.S. trade agreements as well as global trade institutions. That system rewarded countries like China that engaged in unfair and market-distorting trading practices, from industrial subsidies to theft of intellectual property. That system also encouraged outsourcing of manufacturing jobs to countries with significantly weaker labor and environmental standards than the United States. These and other flaws were hurting U.S. businesses and workers and leading to concerns about globalization throughout the developed world. When President Trump took office, the U.S. manufacturing sector had endured massive job losses and wages had stagnated or even declined for many American families. Well, let's stop right there to say that the team negotiating the USMCA for President Trump is largely the same that worked for President Obama. In fact, according to the New American, Trevor Kincaid, the USTR, or U.S. Trade Representative spokesman for the Obama administration, told the Huffington Post that it's the same USTR team that worked under Obama. Ironically, he called them horrible negotiators when running for office, Kincaid said, later adding, "It's really the same with a new name. It's basically the 22 Jump Street of trade deals." So should we automatically assume that new leadership means a shift from its globalist direction to one of America first? Perhaps, but not likely, especially if these are the same folks. This report goes on to detail how it is working within the system of world government bodies to advocate for fairer trade through trade agreements. And it's these trade agreements that are the vehicles that work toward achieving zero tariffs with trading partners. Yet these tariffs have been the president's most influential tool in righting the wrongs of these globalized trade agreements. Instead of working within this globalized structure, America needs to throw off these shackles of global enslavement and once again declare its independence and focus on rebuilding and protecting its sovereignty. That means withdrawing from these agreements that subordinate America to any government body and getting out of the World Trade Organization, the United Nations, and many, many others. The report also details 3 deals it is working on, including agreements with the EU, Japan, and the UK. Well, folks, let's recap a little bit of history here. In 1776, we broke away from Britain because of its tyrannical government. The ties that bound us to Britain had become chokeholds. We fought a war to gain that independence and other wars to keep that independence. The ties binding Britain to the European Union have also become chokeholds, and in 2016, they, along with others in the United Kingdom, voted to get out of the Union and focus on rebuilding their sovereignty. Yet they continue diplomatically fighting hard to cut those ties. The globalists are doing everything they can to ensure that this doesn't happen. And in a few short weeks, we'll be able to see that outcome. So, is that how it will be for the U.S.? The United States-Mexico-Canada Agreement elevates unaccountable government bureaucracy above our own state and federal governments. According to the planners of NAFTA, NAFTA's goal was to create a new international structure for North America. This is no different than the Security and Prosperity Partnership that was proposed back when President George W. Bush signed it with Mexico and Canada. The goal was to economically integrate the 3 countries and then merge our security forces and our currencies, basically merging the 3 countries as one union, much like the European Union. The globalists have been entrenched in American politics and American policy for decades. Their goal of world government under a new world order doesn't change just because their candidate didn't make it into office. So, what will it be? Globalism or Americanism? Americans will have to choose which to live in as well as which to pass on to their children. If you're interested in Americanism, then let us suggest that you contact President Trump and Congress to vote no on passing the USMCA and to get out of NAFTA. Then, please ask others to do so as well. The only way we are going to protect American liberty and independence is if we focus on America first, not globalism first. Action links are in the video description, so please act today and like and share this video with others. Until next time, we'll see you then.